Thanks for tuning in to Airshow Sports. This is Aaron Cantu coming live from Los Angeles, California, right here on Airshow to preview this weekend's wild card NFL playoffs. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Aaron Cantu, Young Cantu for Airshow Sports, and we have Mr. Coach O tuning in today. Thanks for joining. Here, Kirk.
Good to be with you, Cantu. Good to be with you. Talk a little football. Haven't talked a little football for a while, so it'll be good. It'll be good.
And as you can see, Kirk is sporting his Steelers of the hometown where he's from, and I got my Rams hat too. Let's go. So call us biased. Call us whatever you want. We're going to look at these weekends' games and call it how we see it with obvious eye on our teams as well. As Kirk, before we start,
we'll talk football.
We're going to talk some football as you currently take a look at some of the matchups in the wild card weekend.
Good sports is what we're looking for. Just good games, always looking for good games. Always want to see our teams win, of course, but good competition is really what we're looking for. So this is going to be good. Looking Colts and Buffalo first.
Yeah, definitely, Kirk. So before we get started, is there anything you want to say about the playoffs heading into this 2021 season, Kirk? This is off your top.
Absolutely. A couple things that have always been on the top of my mind is, what's the condition? What are these guys feeling and thinking in these stadiums where there is no large fan stadium occupation? So that's an interesting thing. I think there are several sports psychologists on that now and studying this. I think with the small crowds, I think you do actually have an opportunity for fans to actually not necessarily sway a game, but certainly have some impact now. Mm-hmm. But it has been an interesting year. We have to give everybody some grace, and just like I think the NFL, first of all, has done a tremendous job with the pandemic, with handling everything. I think they have just. I think they've done probably the best of any of the sports so far, and perhaps set the precedent of what should be done for sports as we move forward. So yes, looking forward to this game. This weekend, the wild card weekend, is always great football.
Always great football, and with the pandemic year, there's not going to be fans in the stands. So will those home field advantages be as prevalent in this year's playoffs as they would in the past, Kirk?
I think at Seattle, not the full capacity 12-man, but there will still be the 12th man there. I know you're a Rams fan, my friend, but Russell Wilson at home, Seattle, it's going to be a tough one right there. So, but don't know if you want to jump to that game right just yet.
Here we go, Kirk. We're going to jump into it. We're going to jump to the first game, which is going to be Buffalo against the Colts. Take it away, Kirk. What do you see in this one?
First things that come to mind, I lived in Buffalo. I know what the weather can be. It's going to be 34 degrees. You have Indianapolis, who is a dome team, coming to an outdoor stadium. It's going to be tough. Going to be very tough. I think you even said Josh Allen playing at Wyoming, he is already set for this. He's ready for this kind of weather. I just think you're going to have a good, solid Buffalo win in this game. But the first thing is definitely the weather.
I'm heavily favoring Buffalo. I think they got a solid team. They got a solid defense. I look at the matchups in this one. Allen, their quarterback, the guy you say from Wyoming, they're 13-3. He's had a marvelous year. He's been tough to stop. And he's one of those young quarterbacks that has a chance to really put a stamp on the league if he breaks out here in the playoffs. And I think he gets it done against the Colts. I think the Bills beat the Colts because I'm not a believer in Phillip Rivers.
Yes, indeed. You have expressed this. I understand this as well. Yeah, I have some friends who are certainly long-time San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers fans, and indeed they have this kind of sentiment. The NFL, what I think we all have to appreciate is that this truly is sport played at the highest level. And these are the best athletes performing at their highest possible level. And, there's 32 teams. We just don't have that many professionals that make it to this level. So I think we do have to give Phillip Rivers some grace, but I appreciate people's sentiment that yes, indeed, he has in the playoffs had his difficulties, but I think he's not been surrounded by the personnel that he needed in those situations.
He's got to get the ball to T.Y. Hilton, Kirk. The Colts are 11-5. You look at Rivers' numbers. He's actually had a good year. I mean, he's thrown for 4,169 yards, as Kirk does to T.Y. 24 touchdowns, 11 INTs for Rivers. Josh Allen, on the other hand, has had a stellar season. 4,544 yards passing, 37 touchdowns, only 10 picks, and he's also a threat on the ground. Official pick, I'm going with Buffalo. Kirk, you got Buffalo.
I got Buffalo as well. Although I am, as you saw, I am a T.Y. Hilton fan. Love the guy, love his celebrations. And one thing here in the NFL this year, I love the celebrations when they all run to the camera, to like the fan camera, and they'll do like the slide at the fan camera. It's fun. NFL truly has been fun this year, and I think another thing that kind of has come about is that you see the sportsmanship, you see the camaraderie. At the end of the games, there's a little less. There have been some fights, yes, I know, but at the end of the games, you see more guys shaking hands and so forth. I think it's actually been a really good season.
Definitely, that's good to see. And we move on to the second game of the wild card weekend, and that's going to be the Los Angeles Rams 10-6 going on the road to face the 12-4 Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson coming in. He's thrown for 4,212 yards, 40 touchdowns, 13 INTs. He's had a big year, and his big receiver, DK Metcalf, who has quickly emerged as one of the best wide receivers in the league, 83 receptions on the year, 1,303 yards, receiving 10 touchdowns. The Rams are going to have to stop him, but they have the defense to do it.
That secondary is going to have to step up, indeed. Going to have to play at their highest level that they have this entire season. They certainly can. The secondary is going to be a factor.
Well, you look at matchups, Kirk. The Rams went in on a trade to acquire one of the top corners in the league, Jalen Ramsey from Jacksonville last year, so that if they're in a position like this where they got to guard DK Metcalf, they have somebody to throw at him. So I'm looking at that Jalen Ramsey against DK Metcalf one-on-one matchup. If you see Jalen Ramsey come off DK Metcalf at all in the game, I will be surprised. They're going to make him man him up the whole game, and I think that's the right move to do.
Absolutely. I'm always for a tough man-style defense. You have to make people earn what they get. You have to.
So, big game. The Rams have already lost on the road at Seattle, which was a few weeks ago when they had Goff. And that was actually the game that Goff injured his thumb on his throwing hand. And there's a lot of speculation whether he's even being considered as a starter for this week. I think it's safe to say that John Wolford will probably make the start for the Rams. Unless there's something we don't know, Kirk, and somehow Goff has been able to loosen up that hand, and he's going to be trying to throw with that broken thumb.
It's going to be tough. I think one fortune that we have here in Los Angeles is that we have Los Angeles news, and it's looking toward Goff's probably not going to be starting, and that's okay. That's okay. We have a kid from Wake Forest. He can at least manage the game.
For sure.
The defense for the Rams step up. It's just going to be tough. Russell Wilson, the competitor that he is, going to be very, very difficult. That's for sure.
Go with our official picks on this one, Kirk. Who you got?
I'm taking Seattle with a very slim margin here, yes.
You got a projected score on that one?
Oh, you're probably looking at something like 27-24, something like that.
Kirk goes 27-24. I'm going to go gut it out defensive win for the Rams because it's my team. I got to pick them. Even though if there's going to be a way they win, the path to victory is them playing really good defense, John Wolford not throwing the ball away or excuse me, turning the ball over. So it would have to be a gutted out defensive effort, like a 16-10 victory for the Rams on the road. They advance.
Okay.
Let's
Very
go.
Good. Very good. Let's go Rams. Hey, I'm all for good football.
Moving on to the third game, which is the last game tomorrow night. Tampa Bay going to Washington to take on the Washington football team. As you see the graphic come up there, Washington is a team that made the playoffs at 7-9. Kirk,
Amazing. They are kind of like a heartwarming kind of story. Ever since they beat the Steelers on that one night, I think we even talked about that. I was like, the Steelers. I was like, this might be one that they lose. They might be just kind of looking past this team. And I think ever since they beat the Steelers that night, that kind of gave them some life. Alex Smith, good quarterback, can manage a game and move a game forward like just as good as anybody can. They're a good story. They're a good story, but this is going to be a tough one. Their wins this year have been primarily on the road and not necessarily anything remarkable. So I would just say they've been a good story. We'll probably have a moderately competitive game for about 3 quarters, and then after that, no. Tampa, it's Tom Brady.
Kirk's going to go with Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady, 4,633 yards passing, 40 touchdowns, 12 picks. He's had a great year, and I believe he's like 43. Mike Evans, his top receiver, has got 70 receptions on the year, 1,000 yards, 1,006 yards to be exact. So he's a 1,000-yard receiver, 13 touchdowns. He's their big target, but they also have Antonio Brown. They got Gronkowski at tight end. They have Goodwin. They got a lot of weapons. And Kirk, one of the things you said before the show about this one is Tampa might just have too many weapons for Washington to contain.
Absolutely. Tampa is just they're Tom Brady's team. He's yelled at these guys enough that they will step up.
So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay on the road. Tampa's 11-5. They're going up against a 7-9 Washington football team. Tampa gets it done. Brady gets on the roll, and Tampa's going to be a tough team to deal with in the next round. I'm going to go with Tampa 28, Washington 10.
Okay. I was looking like 35-21, something like that. So yeah, same kind of margin. Absolutely.
Good deal. Moving on. The first game on Sunday, the morning game is going to be the 11-5 Baltimore Ravens going on the road to face the 11-5 Tennessee Titans. Probably the most intriguing game of the weekend, Kirk.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. Titans beat Baltimore already this season. It's difficult to beat anybody 2 times in any season in any sport. This will be a great game. I just think in this case, the running attack of Tennessee is just too strong. Baltimore doesn't have the defense that they've always had traditionally. Lamar Jackson's a good quarterback. I just don't think they have the potency that they need on offense to be able to stay with this team. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for Baltimore. Tennessee should handle this one.
Good pick, Kirk. Very intriguing because both teams got to prove themselves in this wild card, and the winner of this game is going to be tough for anybody to face. You look at Lamar Jackson, who didn't have a good outing in the playoffs last year. There's a lot of questions on him coming into this year's playoffs. Baltimore obviously lost in the first round last year after Lamar Jackson had an MVP caliber season. He came into this game passing for 2,757 yards, 26 touchdowns to 9 INTs in the regular season. He's also rushed for 1,005 yards with 7 touchdowns on the ground. We look at Tennessee's quarterback, the game manager, that is Tannehill, who's very similar to Alex Smith in style. Couple that with a nice running game and Derrick Henry, Tennessee's going to be a tough team to beat. And they have the old Patriot linebacker Vrabel is their head coach, Kirk. So Tennessee's defensive minded.
Absolutely. They will step up. This will be the game that everybody says it will be, but I think Tennessee will actually be in more control than people might think.
Just a quick note on Tannehill's numbers. He's had a solid year. 3,819 yards passing, 33 touchdowns, only 7 picks. So if Tannehill could take care of the ball, they run the ball, and they capitalize in the red zone. I like Tennessee. I think they win a tough, gutted-out game. I'm going to go Tennessee 24, Baltimore 16.
Okay, sounds good. I would say that kind of margin.
You have to show me if you're Lamar Jackson. I was a big fan of his, but you got to show me now.
This is the time. I've been wrong before in the past. Andrew Luck 5 years ago, I was like, this is his year, and didn't happen. So yeah, absolutely. He's good though. Lamar Jackson, good quarterback.
And we got a couple games left here on the stream. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you sub to the channel if you haven't already, and smash that like button. The next game, moving on. Kirk, the 8-8 Chicago Bears at New Orleans, who's 12-4. And, New Orleans is historically, over the years, over the last decade, led by Sean Payton, have a really dynamic offense. They got one of the best running backs in the league in Alvin Kamara, who's a threat in the run game and in the passing game for Drew Brees. This is going to be a tall task for Chicago. But I did look up a stat, Kirk, and although Brees did lead New Orleans to the Super Bowl that one year they won, he's 8-8 in the playoffs, so he's even. So It's a wild card game. Anything could happen. Let me change the graphic, Kirk, while you break this game down.
The games always don't come down to just the quarterbacks only, but I appreciate, they are certainly certainly a big factor. However, Brees, this is one of his last shots. He's going to step up like he always does. Chicago just does not have what's necessary to stop him. Cannot stop the running game either. And I just don't think ultimately they have the weapons on offense to be able to just stay with a dynamic New Orleans Saints offense that will put points on the board. This game, they're going to put everything together. Everything's going to work for the Saints. Now, getting past this weekend's another story.
The Saints are one of the hottest teams coming into the playoffs, and if you're the Bears, you got to hope that your defense can force some turnovers and the offense is able to capitalize on them and keep this dynamic Saints offense, either off the field or off the scoreboard. That's the path to victory for Chicago. Now, before we get to the last game, I'm going to throw in a special pick from our special coach, Mrs. Coach O's wildcard picks, who might open up some eyeballs if you take a look at it, as she has her emojis reflect the picks that she's taking this weekend in the wild card sequence in the game. And the biggest upset, so we got Mrs. O's wild card pick. She's taking the Rams over the Seahawks, the Titans over the Baltimore Ravens. She likes Washington over the Bucks, which is also an upset, and the Colts over the Bills. But the biggest upset pick that we have on here.
Don't tell me. She took the Browns?
No, she takes the Steelers, but she's gonna put her faith in the upset-minded Chicago Bears on the road against New Orleans. The Bears. Mrs. Coach O's picks.
Taking the wild cards. Taking the true wild cards.
Yeah, she's taking a big gamble on those wild cards. I'll say that.
Bold picks. Hey, if she has a wager on that, then I guess we'll be eating chicken and not getting feathers, as Papa would say.
So, Kirk, I'm going with the Saints. You're going with the Saints. That's usually an easy pick. We get the
Saints by 10 plus
at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cruising to a victory.
Absolutely.
And we move on to probably the most anticipated game of the weekend. Kirk's hometown Steelers taking on the Browns in the playoffs. Steelers are 12-4. Browns are 11-5. Browns won their last meeting, which was in Cleveland. So Steelers going to get back on track against the Browns at home, Kirk?
Absolutely. It was at Cleveland against the Steelers JV squad. And so just like every team last week, every team playoff bound played their subs. And, that's actually been fun for me for as a Steelers fan, because I actually know some of the subs, some of the younger guys. Defense, and I know a guy playing linebacker, got to see him play, so that was fun. So Steelers. Okay, here's the story. Everybody's counting out the Steelers now because they've lost and they've kind of sleptwalked for a while. But what you have to understand is that the Steelers and Mike Tomlin have a fair amount of gamesmanship involved here, in that you can be sure in this game. This will be like a 24-3 type game. The Steelers are just going to come out and dominate and just win this game and show you that they are the Pittsburgh Steelers, the same team that they have been since the beginning of the season, the same team that they were last season until they lost Big Ben. So yeah, there's some gamesmanship here. Steelers are going to be full personnel. The Browns are a fun story, but. Big game for the Steelers.
So this is an intriguing game, and it's a good opportunity to. If the Browns are not a pretender, they're gonna come to fight in this game, and they could make something happen. But I'm gonna lean on history, and I'm gonna lean on the experience. Big Ben, he's thrown for just over 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 picks. Those are pretty good numbers for him up in his age. Baker Mayfield has had a pretty good year too. Just over 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 INTs. So the quarterback play is going to be pretty competitive, to say the least, in this one. What's the key in this game, Kirk?
The Steelers secondary and their linebacker play. Just if they just can shut down anything that Baker Mayfield can possibly do throwing, and then they just contain him, everything will be fine. He's fun. He's exciting. His commercials are funny, but like I said, they didn't play the Steelers full squad last week, and the Steelers are going to be 100% this week and just showing up. And it's time. The Steelers know it's time. Mike Tomlin knows it's time. It's just time to just be the Steelers.
They have to shut down a pretty good running back as well, Kirk, and Nick Chubb, who's rushed for 1,067 yards, 12 touchdowns. So
linebackers, they got their linebackers.
They got to come up and fill.
Dupree's back. So
Dupree's back?
Yes, I think so.
That's big for their defense.
Absolutely.
Well, we're getting toward the end of the show, and just want to thank the viewers for tuning in. We did a little quick wild card look at this weekend's games, and it's a lot of games that could go either way, Kirk, but I think the overall narrative from hearing you and I talk is that we're going to lean on the teams that know how to run the football and play defense, if you think about it.
That's how you win games. That's how it's done. You control the game on offense, and you use your defense to get the ball back to control it on offense. That's how you win football.
I can't wait, Kirk.
Me neither.
This is the best time of the year.
Absolutely.
Playoff football.
Absolutely.
And it's been a crazy year, but we thank everybody for tuning in, and make sure to leave a comment on who you're taking in the playoffs, and also, who do you think's got the best chance on an upset victory? Mrs. O picking the Chicago Bears on the road against New Orleans. My pick was the Rams against the Seahawks. That would be a slight upset.
That would be an upset. But that's a possible, though. It's definitely possible, but tough. It'll be a tough one. The Rams got to play their absolutely best game, and Goff's.
They can
get
Goff
him.
Is still has
two more days.
The jury's still out on him, under pressure, and
Surgery doesn't heal in 7 days.
So I expect Wolford to come in, but he did a decent job in the first game against the Cardinals. He's just got to manage the game, rely on the defense to win it from.
He's smart. So they just, has to perform. Has to basically perform at a higher level than he's ever performed, ever. So we'll see.
There you have it. You can follow me at Airshow15 on Instagram and Twitter. And Kirk, shout out your social media.
Oh, I'm just KOXI, KOEXSCI, Instagram. So
Stay tuned. We'll come at you with some prior reactions from this week, and we'll preview the next week.